My name is Lily Wolf.
Okay, so Lily, what brings you to Tamworth?
Courage to Care is a association which aims at children to learn to stop bullying, to care for each other, to help each other out, and not to have again in the future what happened to me and my age groups in Europe. So to try to eliminate all the pain what we went through by telling them how to care for each other.
So Lily, you've got a pretty incredible story. Can you tell me a little bit about your experience?
Well, I was 17 when the law came in Budapest in Hungary to gather together in a sports ground, and they took us marching every day 25 kilometers. We didn't get any food from them or any drink from them, so we had to march, and the night we spent on farms, on the ground, on the earth, because there was no hotel or any accommodation. And on the way from one spot to another farm, there were always one or two people who couldn't walk anymore, and they sat down, and because they didn't walk anymore, the SS shot them. And then they were covered with either newspaper or paper, whatever they found, and they left the dead body on the highway. So my grandmother gave me some tea leaves, and as I didn't have anything hot in my stomach and it was getting cold already, I tore off some paper from the dead bodies, the covering, and rolled it up in as a cigarette, and I smoked that. That was for a long time my only warm thing in my stomach. And then eventually I got back to Budapest through certain circumstances, and I got back into the ghetto, and I found my brother, and we stayed together till the 24th of January. Beg your pardon, 24th of December. And 24th of December, Wallenberg walked into the ghetto, and he, as we all know, was a Swedish diplomat to rescue Hungarian Jews. And he took with him 24 Hungarian Jews, and they all had, through him, a visa, a protective visa, Swedish protective nationals. And and because nobody spoke German in the official Jewish welfare, I translated. I spoke German because I was brought up by German schooling, and I translated, and because of that, Wallenberg offered to take me with him, and he said that we can only do it in a way that 24 people, 12 one side, 12 the other, and I crouch in between them, and that's how we went out of the ghetto and went into a protective house, and that was on the 24th of December in the evening. And on the 6th of January, in the protected Swedish house where I was, a big bombardment took the house with him, and the bomb went right through. I was on the 3rd floor, and when I opened my eyes, it was the sky above me. And when I came downstairs, I found out that only 6 of the 24 people survived it. The rest were killed through that bomb. And then they took us to the other protective house, and that's where I survived until the Russians came, because we heard already the artilleries, and there were street fights. The Russians one way, the Germans retreated. So by then we knew that it won't be too long before we are freed from the Germans. But of course, with the Russians we have other problems. Unfortunately, the Russian soldiers were without any women at that time, and they assaulted me, 3 of them, and then other women got assaulted as well. And then we walked, I walked with a street fight for 2 days till we got into the ghetto, and then I found my grandmother and my auntie and her little daughter. Now the daughter now is 72 years old, lives in Sydney. She has 3 children, and the 3 children have got 3 to 4 children herself. So we started with my uncle and his wife about 65 years ago, and now we are 50 in the family. So we have multiplied quite well. And so my uncle found out after the war that we survived through the Red Cross, and he sent his mother, his sister, and me a permit, a landing permit. And we arrived. I left Hungary in 47, and I arrived here January 48.
Do you find it difficult reliving these experiences?
Look, it's not a pleasure. Every time I do tell the story, it's visually in front of me. I can see myself doing this or that, or for instance, a woman committed suicide from the 3rd floor and fell down in front of my brother and me. Well, I can still see her. I can still see Wallenberg. So I see the dead bodies covered with paper. So I can still see it, but somehow it doesn't affect me so badly as some other people. Maybe I'm a tough cookie. A tough cookie. That's what some school children told me, whom I told the story many years ago, that I'm a tough cookie.
So what's the reaction been like? You've obviously been involved in this program for quite some time, but what sort of response do you normally get from the kids?
Very positive. There were some teenage girls in their 14s who actually cried after me telling my story, and they cried and fell on my shoulders, and how could I have survived all that, and so on and so forth. Sometimes the younger children, without me telling them certain parts of my story, they are so stunned that they can't even ask a question, because it's a shock to their system to realize what a human being can go through and still live. How shall I am, as I said, a tough cookie. And why I do it, because many of my friends say, why do you stir up memories constantly? It's because I feel that youngsters should know what the future will, what they should protect themselves for the future, that they should care for each other, not to bully each other, and to look out for any possible danger what comes away. And by the looks of it, we have quite a lot coming our way nowadays, unfortunately.